What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the first episode of BlinkersOn podcast. Today we got a lot in store. We're covering the jockeys dispute at Aqueduct, then we're covering a little bit of what Mike Repole and Dave Portnoy, big names in the industry, big owners, what they talked about yesterday on Thursday about the CAWs and what they can do for racing. Then we got a little bit of stakes race action going on Saturday. And then we follow it up with our guest picker, co-host Nicky Price, with his price play of the day. And then we're going into a segment of who's got who, a little bit of debate of which Ortiz brother is better. So without further ado, let's get right into it. I first want to talk about the jockeys dispute at Aqueduct. On Sunday, after the first race, the jockeys at Aqueduct refused to continue riding, causing the cancellation of the final 8 races of the 9-race card. The protest was triggered after the assistant clerk of scales, the guy who runs the weigh-ins for all the jockeys, he was sent home for refusing newly assigned duties. The jockeys objected to the replacement, arguing that it was unfair to the jockeys and that the new person was not capable of doing whatever they were supposed to do, and it was unfair to the jockeys. There were also long-standing arguments between the NYRA and whatever the jockeys thought was unfair to them. Recent decisions to limit access to the jockeys' room for family and friends, the broader concerns over how management has treated support staff and jockeys themselves. As a result, NYRA ended up canceling the next 8 races, and thank God that they came to a conclusion on Monday that they would end up racing. We're filming Friday morning, so they did have a full racing card yesterday. Not full fields very much, but they were a little shorthanded on fields. I think the largest field yesterday was 10 horses. So, but Aqueducts, thank God, back up and running. But Kendrick Carmouche sort of ran the whole dispute against NYRA, saying, "I've never seen so much disrespect to a jockey colony and the people who work in the jocks room." And John Velasquez and Flavian Pratt were amongst the other jockeys at the meeting with the NYRA board, and they ended up coming up with a few conclusions. I'm not sure exactly what those were, but I'm glad that they ended up figuring that out. And I sort of want to get into what Repole talked about, because he went on one of Barstool's podcasts yesterday with Big Cat and Portnoy, and they sort of were bantering back and forth, but then they got into what's wrong with horse racing, and Repole puts in 30 to 40 million dollars a year into the sport. And I think that he talked about the CAWs, the online computer money, and how it's ruining the sport. They think that everything, and I know if we bring on Price, and maybe we'll talk about this a little bit in the next episode, he's very passionate about the CAWs and how it's hurting the game and how it's hurting betting. And I think I sort of came to the conclusion that I'm not sure how much I'm going to bet on racing, just because how much it's hurting the odds and how fair it is. So whatever. Repole talked to Portnoy, and they think that they want to try and do something with DraftKings, and I hope they do. And it would just be all the CAWs on one platform, and that all the money from the CAWs would be closed out 5 to 3 minutes early before each race, preventing any CAW money hurting the odds, so that any late money that's coming on the races will be on track, and the odds won't shift from, say, 20 to 1 to 13, 12 to 1. You're still getting a good price on a horse. Exactas will probably pay a little bit double of what they show on probables before races and when races go off. So I really hope they do it. And they also pitched an idea of, which I think's pretty interesting, of renting out 4 tracks: Repole, Portnoy, and DraftKings, and they would rent out 4 tracks, whether they'd be Monmouth, Saratoga, or Belmont when Belmont opens up, Churchill Downs, Keeneland, and then they talked about Gulfstream. And You could only go, they make the race card, so it could be an all grays horse. That everyone knows that Portnoy stable is go grays. Um, so I think that'd be really fun and no CAW. You pay to get on track, and all the bets would be taken on track. Portnoy, Mike Repole, and DraftKings would take all the action. I think it'd be a great idea. I think it'd be great for the sport. Everybody could still watch it. I think it would really grow it. But without further ado, I'm sort of rambling there. Let's get into Turfway opening week. Long shot galore. I know they started Wednesday. Today's Friday. I think Nicky Price has got his price play on Turfway, so I could be wrong. I've yet to speak to Price about his price play, so I'll be shocked just as much as you guys are. This guy's a character. Wait until you see him. Wow. Um, Turfway's given the dead season a little bit more action with night racing, which I love. I love the night racing. They got a lot of contests going on at this time, especially on Fridays. I play in one normally to get into the Keeneland November fall contest. If you win the Friday contest, it's at my local racetrack, the Red Mile here in Lexington. Got some good racing. I know some of the top jockeys opened up Wednesday. Now they went to their normal winter racing racetracks. Like I read Ortiz opened up. I think he got a win, but now he's down at Gulfstream. I saw Luan Machado was there. I'm not sure where he went. I think he might have went down to Gulfstream. I could be wrong. Maybe he was Fairgrounds, but Greg Cox had a few in on Wednesday. Wesley Ward had a few in. Riley Mott, who new up and coming trainer, one of my buddies works for him. He had a winner and a third place on Wednesday. So a lot of big names at Turfway. Few stakes races are coming up, and a few people might ask what are stakes races who don't really follow racing that much. A stakes race are there's grade threes, grade twos, grade ones. Grade one's the highest grade. Kentucky Derby, the Oaks are a few. The Belmont, the Preakness, all Breeders' Cups races, all grade ones. Those are the highest grades, the highest points, and the highest money purses that you can get are grade ones. And all the Derby prep races, for people that don't know, the 2-year-olds currently have to race in Derby prep races. Excuse me, there. Have to race in Derby prep races to get into the Derby and earn a certain amount of points. They take the top, I believe, 23, maybe 22 in points, and that's how you get in. So without further ado, the stakes races that are going off this week, Woodbine's got the valedictory stakes, grade 3. Aqueduct's got the Cigar Mile, grade 2. Aqueduct's got the Debacle, another grade 2. They also got the Elite Power Stakes. That's a grade 3. And then they got the Remsen, a grade 2. That is a Derby prep race. And then Los Alamitos, which this is a race that I'm intrigued about, has the Startlet, which is a grade 2 as well. And I want to focus a little bit on the Startlet and the Remsen, both 2-year-old racings pointing towards the first week in May for the Oaks and the Derby. I'm excited to see one of Baffert's top 2-year-olds, Bottle of Rouge, running the Startlet. Spendthrift Farms also has one trained by Richard Mandela named Bad Manners, so I'm excited. McCarthy has one of his top 2-year-olds running. So I'm really excited for that race. I think it'll be a good showdown. Bottle of Rouge, and I believe another horse ran in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies. So should be a really, really good race and show who the top filly is for the Kentucky Oaks in the first week of May after this week. Another good 2-year-old stack field for the Remsen. We're looking at the 12-horse field, and I think I'm going to go either with Chad Brown's Paladin. Not sure when it last raced. I've yet to really look at the program, just sort of looking at names and what I've heard. Or Pletcher's horse Courting. Make sure to check out our picks though on X and or YouTube or TikTok for our picks for those races. Without further ado, let's bring in Nicky Price for his price play of the day. Nicky Price, can you hear us? Nicky Price, are you with us? I think you got on mute there, Price. Can you hear us, Nicky? Price? Nope, you're still on mute. Here we go, Price. Still on mute. Still on mute. There
Hello?
we go. There we are.
What's up,
Nicky
cuz?
Price, can you hear us? Are you
What's
with
up?
us? There we go. How you
Can
been,
you see
Price?
me?
Yeah,
You
no,
hear
we
me?
got you. We got you. I heard you got to go to the DMV today, Price.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Oh,
I don't
geez,
know.
had to
It's
get up
always I
bright
had to
and
get up
early, huh?
early.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, without further ado, Price, go ahead, share your screen, and let's get into your
How do I
Price
do
play of the
this?
day. We are there. Yes, we are, sir.
I went to Fairgrounds, race 8. So yeah, I like to play long shots. I don't play favorites. I don't know. There's no well, the whole point of playing horses, I think, is you gotta. There's so much value in horse racing, so you got to try to find the favorites or try to beat the favorites. If you want to bet favorites, I think you should just bet sports because it's easier. You got a 50-50 chance. Horse racing, you can't come into the sport thinking you're just going to win on, obviously you want to hit the 30 to ones, the 20 to ones, but it takes a while to learn. It takes years to learn how to read the racing form. And I know people use computer stuff. I don't know how to use it, but I'm old school. I just like to use the daily racing form or whatever past performances I have. And I find typically stakes races are more towards the favorites. So when I look for long shots, what I look for, I try to look at a race and I look for a favorite that's bad, that I think is bad at least. Everything I say is in my opinion. So if I say anything controversial, it's in my opinion. Um, so I went to Fairgrounds. Turfways, it's long shots, but they're just really hard to find on paper. So I'll look at them and at a certain point at Turfway, when I look at Turfway, you got to look at how the doubles are being played. So like you could look at a race before. So say it's race 2, you could look at the probables and you could see they're playing 8 with another horse in the next race. So that's kind of how I look at it at Turfway. It's kind of hard to go based on a form because you got horses coming from all over that go there. A lot of them have never ran on the all weather too. The all weather is just a tough surface. So Fairgrounds race 8. This is a bottom level race. Little bad horses claiming $5,000, 6 furlongs turf, just a generic race. Pretty much as generic as you could get. This is the last race today. What time does it say it goes off at? 4:15 Central. All right, so I'll go into it a little bit. I'll kind of just lightly break down the horses in the race, and then the horses that I like, I'll kind of go a little more in depth about. Um, so here we go. We got 6 furlongs claiming 5. We got the one, Sophia Vives, right? Won the last race of Louisiana Downs, same level, 10-horse field. Did okay September, right? Had a workout at Fairgrounds. Um, Breaks from the rail. That's a positive with this horse, right? Last time broke from the 10 post. It's got a little speed. I think this race has a lot of speed. I don't know why it says call. I don't know what that means. Unable to call. Okay. Uh, the 2, Evangeline Downs. Um, this horse will be a closer. Kind of ran against some horses in the race, like this MMMMM, this MXM Max. So when horses are in state, this isn't. I don't think this is a state bred race. It might be. I don't know. But when horses ran against horses that in the same race, I try to stay against. I like to play horses that have ran against no other horses in the race. I don't know why. That's just something I always do. The 2, Thomas Lee is the trainer. Jay Rodriguez, I think that's Jaime Rodriguez is the jockey. Had a workout at Fairgrounds, 4 furlongs, 50. Won his last start. And cheap horses, I don't like to play. It's hard for them to win 2 in a row. They're so inconsistent. and that's why I think you could get long shots in cheaper races. The 3 has a win over the track, right? A win at the distance, but just doesn't really like to win. 27 lifetime starts, only 3 wins. So, and another thing I don't like to play, and this is why I like this race because the favorite is the same way, which we'll get to in a little bit. A cheap horse off 180 plus alpha long layoff. I think they always need a race or two in cheaper races. They're just not the same level of class as like a grade 1 or a grade 2 racehorse where they could come off the layoff and strike right away. These horses, a little lower level, they need a couple races to kind of get into it. I think to get those, get their whatever, get them in back in form. They're just out of shape. Um, yeah, the 4's off a layoff too. Hasn't raced since July, so no good there. October with the 5. I think this horse will just be too far back. The 6, I don't like that horse at all. Cheap horse, hasn't run anywhere close. Out of form. No thanks. The only thing that's okay, he has a bullet workout, Evangeline Downs on the 29th. So that's a little interesting there. The 7, lost by 20, lost by 19. The only thing is here with this horse, you could see his last race at Fairgrounds, he actually won. So, I always like to see horses that have success over the track. The 8, here's a favorite. Why does it keep saying call? Okay. This is the horse I don't like, and that's why I took a shot in this race. He's off 180-day layoff, Jarek Wellberry. I just can't. I can't bet that short of a price off a long layoff in a cheap race. Not for me. Jose Ortiz is a good jockey change on a 9. I think I'd use this horse underneath. I don't know that he could win. The horse just does not like to win. He has 8 starts at Fairgrounds, only 2/3, nothing else in the money. I mean, I could use him underneath just because of the jockey change. Getting Jose helps. But I went to the 10. I thought the 10 needed the last race. I thought he ran pretty good. Second time with Mitchell Merle. Bet Mitch, get rich. Everybody knows that. This is a Hawthorne horse here. So a little hometown bias too. I think he'll be just off. I think there's a lot of speed in this race. I think he'll sit right off. He'll get a good trip. He's got 2 wins and a second at Fairgrounds, so I like that he has success over the track. He has success at the distance. 9 starts, 3 wins, a second and a third. I think he fits here. He's got a good number here. Second off a 45-day layoff. He's 20%. He's got this guy, Eduardo Rodriguez, runs at Hawthorne. He's got good numbers in claimers. I think this horse is worth the shot, 8-1. Not a bad price. I'll be playing him. He draws the outside, which is always helpful for the speed horse. You either want to be inside or outside. If your horse has braking issues, you want to be more in the middle because when a horse has braking issues and they're on the outside, they tend to go outwards. When they're on the rail, they tend to go inwards. This horse doesn't really have much braking issues. The only thing is sometimes he gets in duels and then he'll fade, but that's every cheap horse. If you duel, you're going to fade because they're just not class enough to hold on. But yeah, I like this horse. Has success at Fairgrounds, success at the distance. I think he fits. Worth the play, 8-1. That's my play of the day.
Nice. I like it, price. And where is that play? What day?
It's this Fairgrounds race 8 Friday.
All right. Number 10 horse. You heard it here first, folks. Nicky Price. Hopefully,
what's the name?
First play of the year. He gets it
I
in.
was looking. You got to play this horse. This is your favorite line right here. That's right. Paco Lopez. That's right. You always say that's right.
Jeez, I'm not gonna play
right.
that horse. I don't play fairgrounds. I don't play fairgrounds.
Yeah, it is a tough track. Joe Sharp has 2 in here. So this is a longer shot. That's another angle. When a trainer has 2 horses in the race, I try to stay away from playing double entries because you just don't know. But if I do play it, always play the longer price of the 2 trainers' entries.
Price's play of the day, the number 10 horse at Fairgrounds on Friday. That's tonight. Race number 8, horse number 10. Without further ado, you want to get into who's got who? The best Ortiz jockey?
Yeah, we could go into it.
All right. I'll turn it over to you first since you obviously don't have the best. So
I think it's Jose. I think Jose's better. And the only reason I say that, I'm not going to have these stats to back it up like you will. You'll probably win most of these if you look in on paper. I just go from a betting perspective. You're more of a stats analytical guy. I go from a betting perspective. A betting perspective, Irad just gets so overbet. He rides for Chad Brown. And yeah, they win, but they win at so short odds. I just can't bet that. Jose, yeah, he'll have a favorite. I mean, it's not like we're arguing, you know, I don't know, let's say we're arguing Christopher Elliott versus Irad. Yeah, I would still probably take Christopher Elliott because I just don't put Irad because he's like even money in every race. But I would have 4-1. You would have even money. I'd rather take 4-1. If I like both of them on paper, I would just take Jose because more likely than not, he's going to be the higher price in the race. And I think they're pretty similar. Um, I think they're just similar. They're both very good, top of the line. But yeah, just from a strictly betting perspective, Jose's always going to be shorter or longer odds than I read, and that's all it is. And I think they're equal.
Okay. All right. Well, I disagree. I read Ortiz got a win yesterday at Gulfstream for a trainer that I've never heard of, and he was 4-1, and he wasn't the favorite
That's
in the
about the
race.
longest price you'll get them at, 4-1.
I agree. I was at the track, and one of the guys said Flavian Pratt. He was 8-1, and the horse ended up winning. Why would you not play him at 8-1? You'll never get a horse like that. But whatever. I'm taking Irad Ortiz. He's got just over 1,500 starts this year, with 54% of those being in the money. That's one, two, or three. And he's winning at a 21% clip, which is really, really good. Um, Also, earning just over 39 million this year, and those numbers are just going to keep going up. Well, probably not just because it's December end of the year, but whatever. I'm going to go for his past 10 years just to show how good he's been. He was second in 2015 in money earned, second in 2016 in money earned, third in 2017, and Jose was first that year. So, but I think that was White Abarrio's year. Then he took the reins from his brother and beat him in 2018 and has led since, besides 2 years, 2021 and last year, Flavian Pratt beating him both of those years. So just winning the big races and winning the money, I think Irad's the best. Who cares about the prices? Who cares about how much
You're a
money
chalk
you
player.
win on him? But I do think that you will find better prices with Jose Ortiz. And I don't think many jockeys, if you were to just bet a straight jockey, you might win. You might come out on top for a few days. But I think in the long run, they do end up losing you money just because of these online players and the odds that you're getting. And that's sort of what we talked about earlier today. But I do think Irad's the best. I think a lot of people will agree with me. I don't think many people will agree with you, Price.
Well,
So
I
I'm
think
sorry.
I give credit to Jose Ortiz. He did something nobody did last year. He had a lot of balls. He had a lot of balls. In the winter, everybody goes to Gulfstream because that's where the money's at. Everybody goes to Gulfstream. He had the balls to say, all right, I'm going to try something different. Instead of competing with these top guys for mounts, he got a guy like Joe Sharp, and they went to Fairgrounds. And they went for a little less money, and they took that hit in the winter, but it worked out for them when they went to Saratoga in the summer, and also Keeneland in the spring. They had a great meet with those
Yes.
fairground horses, those two. Nobody,
They
no jockeys ever had the balls to go and run away from the money for a little bit, and then it ended up working out for him in the long run because he had those mounts locked up, and the form ended up transitioning well.
Yeah, I agree. I think he ended up actually winning a grade three or a grade two on one of Joe Sharp's horse, and the price was like 8-1. And I actually chose that horse. I was playing in a contest, and I also bet it actually on a ticket. And I actually hit pretty good on that race with the exacta as well. I remember, but can't look at your past results, especially that far back. But yeah, I agree. I think Joe Sharp and Jose Ortiz have created a really good connection, especially running at fairgrounds and. Joe Sharp's a really good up and coming trainer. I know he's been in the game for a little bit, but not as much as these guys like Pletcher and Chad Brown. And I think they got those two
Straight on the
just
turf.
alone. Yeah, he
Good on the
is.
slate.
And I think just alone those two have a lot of rated stakes wins coming up in their future. And I'm excited to really see what 2026 racing is going to be all about and see what new trainers can get it done. Which Ortiz brother will be on top of that
Get the
list. So
CAWs out, computer
that
assistant wager.
that's right. I completely agree. But I think today that really does it for us. Price, you got anything?
No, it's kind of a downtime in horse racing right now. There'll be more to dive into, like with my past performances and stuff. Once bigger races pop up, I'll go more in depth about the races. But right now, with football still going on, and it's kind of early in the Derby prep seasons, so it's kind of like a dead time in horse racing. There's not much until the new year, pretty much.
Right. Are you going to give us any of your NFL picks? Maybe.
Bears Packers, we got
Oh, it's bared out all the way. Come on.
Packer week. It's Packer
I
week.
know that line opened crazy. What at 7.5, and what's it
Six and a
now down
half, I
to?
think it opened at. I don't
Yeah,
know. I haven't looked. I would guess it's around this thing.
yeah. I
I
know a
think the
lot of
Bears
the
could
other.
win. Why not?
Why not? Right? We won at Lambeau last
Green
year.
Bay
I
doesn't
was there.
impress me. Green Bay really doesn't impress me. They run the ball and they throw screens. And I don't like. I don't think Josh Jacobs is very good.
I think he is good. I think Jordan Love's not good. Packer fans, come at us. We want to hear it all.
Yeah, Jordan Love. Yeah, I mean he's not going to be. It depends what you describe as good. He's not going to live up to the past two quarterbacks, but he's okay.
Yeah.
He's very average. The NFC North quarterbacks are all very average, and they have teams around them. I think Williams could be the best. He probably will be. He will end up being.
In
JJ
the
is
NFC.
it's crazy. Minnesota had Darnold and Jones on the roster, and they win with nine.
Yeah. Right. Unbelievable. Um, well, that's all for us on the first episode of the Blinkers On. Be sure to follow us in our links below. I'll throw all the tags for our socials down there so you can see exclusive pics on our social media. I think we got a few sponsors set up for next week, so be sure to tune in next week. And that's all for us on the Blinkers On. Thanks for joining us.